Kia ora folk, and a warm welcome to you all. You're listening to Bridgitt on Naturopathy at Radio Kidnappers in Hastings. So welcome. Thanks for taking the time to listen into my show today, and I value you. I value your listening in. I am a qualified and registered naturopath and medical herbalist, and I have a clinic right here in Hawke's Bay in Napier, a natural health clinic. I provide a free 15-minute chat to you to see how best I can help you find a resolution for any emotional and physical imbalances that you may have. My goal as a naturopath is to empower you to take control and maintain your own health and well-being, and I do this with herbal medicine, with nutrition, with maybe vitamins and minerals, herbal teas, reflexology as well, or lymphatic drainage, and also mind energy therapies if needed. So today my talk is about women and period imbalances. So all the different kinds of symptoms that affect periods and what we can do to try and help that, balance that up. So recently I'm seeing a lot of young women come into my clinic, and they're from the ranges maybe of 23, 24, and actually right up to maybe 40s, and they're having really hard time balancing their periods. And do you know what? It is not normal to have severe pain or period pain or these symptoms that I'm talking about. It's not normal. It's not your lot. You don't have to put up with it, and you certainly do not have to get pregnant to balance your hormones. We can do it safely, naturally. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of maybe new words that you haven't heard before, and you're welcome to message me or ring me on 027 284 3781 and just see if you would like some clarification on what I'm talking about. So hormones play a huge part in our bodily system and our makeup, but what I'm talking about, the hormones today, is for your periods, to balance your periods. So hormones like estrogen, progesterone, androgens, testosterone, cortisol, melatonin, insulin, and serotonin are just a few hormones that are needed and necessary to balance your periods. And some of you may or may not have heard of PMS, so that's premenstrual syndrome. And the symptoms for that, so when there is too much PMS, this really puts your periods out of balance. So some of the symptoms for PMS are tender or painful swollen breasts, extreme headaches before your period starts, and this is when the estrogen starts to drop. Excuse me. You have incredible food cravings like chocolate, but there's a reason some women crave chocolate before periods, and that is when maybe you have a magnesium deficiency, or carbohydrates. Some women crave carbohydrates as well. And some women get very emotional before the period actually happens. So they're like really weepy and really cry at the drop of a hat. They might, Ken's laughing, so they might be watching a movie or might see a puppy running down the road or a cute little baby, and they just start crying. And if this is not your norm, then I would be looking at what's your periods doing? Are they out of balance? The opposite emotional side of that is when you just become so irritable, and maybe you've got young children or family, and you go, come on, come on, come on, get in the car, eat your breakfast, and you're rushing, and any little thing is just going to flip that switch and flip you over the edge, and you just want to kill the world. But hey, that's not normal. If that's not your normal psyche, that to me, that points out to a period hormone imbalance. Other symptoms are some women break out with facial acne around their chin, maybe down the sides of their jaw, and that is a sign of hormonal imbalance as well. I know I've got a colleague who has a beauty therapy, Simply Indulgent, in Taradale, and she sees that a lot as well. So affecting your hormone imbalance. Also, a lot of women see that they have a weight gain, and we'll talk more about that. Maybe their weight is just slowly creeping on and they can't get it off. Painful periods, cramping periods on the first day. Maybe you're having big, horrible looking blood clots, and this is a sign that the periods are out of balance. The lining of the uterus is starting to come away, but it's all congealed, and maybe it's old blood as well. So we want you to have no clots if possible. That is normal. Some women have a period that they bleed for more than 7 days. And when it's like this, you could get very, very tired because you're losing a lot of your blood and your iron levels go low, so you get low energy, which affects thyroid as well. Some women have a period and then 2 weeks later they have another period. And so what's going on? Well, I always look at hormone imbalance. Maybe your period only bleeds for 2 to 3 days and then stops, peters out. Again, that's not very normal. Or maybe you don't even have a period. Maybe you have nothing at all. So there's many physiological reasons for not having a period. Right, so you could be taking the oral contraception. But if you're having symptoms of imbalance, don't worry. I can come in and help support you while you are on these artificial hormones. That's not a problem. I can work around that as well. Other reasons for not having a period, you may have just stopped the oral contraception and it is still floating around in the body. So we're waiting for your body, your normal hormones to kick in and balance that up. Maybe you are just so stressed and so busy, or you've had a lot of recent trauma, and that can affect your periods as well, and it can stop it. It can really stop them. Maybe, I've seen this in a lot of young women, maybe they've decided to switch their eating plans and they want to go vegetarian, because lately we're getting a lot in the media about don't eat so much red meat or animal protein. So they've decided, I'm going to change my eating plan, and that's quite good. I encourage women to reduce their meat. But if you haven't done your homework to replace what animal protein has in it, then you may get into a few problems down the track. And I've had a young client her period stopped altogether. And when we did intensive questioning, she wasn't getting enough protein in her diet to replace the animal protein that she had stopped eating. So it's quite important to really do your homework and to replace these food groups that you're now stopping to eat. So the body is the brain's amazing, and when it doesn't get enough protein in its body, it thinks you're starving. It thinks the body's starving. So to protect that body, what it does is it stops your periods from happening to preserve the body. So yes, I applaud vegetarians. I actually go into vegetarians as well, and it's really important to make sure that you eat well. So maybe you're putting extreme physical pressure on your body, and this is affecting your period, like bodybuilding, never having a day off going to the gym, and that's pushing your adrenals quite severely. It's pumping them, which is having a follow-on ripple effect for the other hormones balancing and ultimately your periods. Maybe you're having a false pregnancy, and you're having all the signs and symptoms of period imbalance or a pregnancy, but if your pregnancy tests don't show positive, I would definitely encourage you to go and see your doctor ASAP. It could be other reasons for that. Another reason, another kind of period hormone imbalance is PCOS, and that is short for polycystic ovary syndrome. So that's on your ovaries, right? So they're on either side, left and right, around your hip, upper hip area. And so poly means many, and that's many cysts on your ovaries. So signs of this is you could have severe acne over your chest or on your back. You could have a lot of facial hair, maybe on your lip or down the sides here, like a fine down. A lot of women who have PCOS find that they really find it hard to get pregnant. They have fertility issues, and their periods sometimes are absent as well. So this is when the androgen hormone can be in excessive, but also comes into play maybe insulin resistance. So that's your blood sugars. So also with period hormone imbalance, you may be experiencing miscarriages, a lot of miscarriages. And you know, we do need the estrogen, progesterone hormones to be in balance. If we have too little progesterone hormone, that's not going to hold that baby, that precious gift. That's not going to hold that in the uterus. So if there's also stress, then your body's flooded with cortisol hormone, and that's going to have a detrimental effect on holding that beautiful gift in your womb as well. Endometriosis is another hormone imbalance, as well as fibroids. So excess estrogen, that's when your estrogen is way too high and your progesterone is way too low. And so this creates havoc with periods, bleeding, heavy bleeding, blood clots, pain, cramping, moods as well as low iron, because there's that heavy bleeding all the time. Weight gain is another side effect. We've talked about weight gain. Also pelvic inflammation, that can play a part in period hormones as well. So recently in clinic, a client said to me, well, how do you know, Bridgitt? How do you know that I've got a hormone imbalance? And I said, wow, let me draw you a map. So I don't know if you can see this crazy map, and you won't, the listeners, the folks who are on, Ken's laughing, the folks who are listening to me on radio, I'm going to explain this map to you. And those who have a visual, you know, listen in as well. So this map, I said to my client, okay, let me draw it for you and link it all together. I believe it starts with adrenals, stress. And people go, oh, I'm not stressed. I go, yes, but your busyness creates stress, creates inflammation in the body. If the adrenals are getting pumped continuously, they're getting overtaxed, and this affects your sex hormones, your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone, your androgens. The adrenals signal to the liver to release glucose because you need energy, you need sugar, natural sugar in your body to keep going, to keep pumping around. And your pancreas releases insulin as well to deal with these blood sugars. So if you are continuously pumping your adrenals by doing busyness and other things, this may lead to weight gain. And a lot of women who put their weight on around their mid-torso can't figure out why they are not losing it and why it's slowly coming on. And this is because the adrenals are pumping so hard and it's signalling to the liver to release the glucose. But hey, don't panic, we can fix that up. That's okay, we can help you balance. So it's very important to keep the liver happy. So the liver is needed to detox and eliminate excess hormones. So when you have too much estrogen, we've got to get it out of that body somehow. It's not like an instant fix, but we have herbs, we have nutrition, we have minerals, vitamins, and even calming your mind, calming your external emotions, all helps the liver do its job. The liver also helps to convert thyroid hormones, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but thyroid hormones are really, really important for regulating your heavy bleeding of your period. The liver is also needed to help digest foods, and it releases bile as well. So it's really important to keep that liver happy. Excuse me. Adrenal stress or busyness also affects your sleep. It reduces your sleep hormone called melatonin, which has this roundabout effect on your periods, on your period hormones and the balance there. Adrenals also release a hormone called cortisol, and cortisol plays a huge part in your energy in the mornings and throughout the day. So that also plays a roundabout effect on periods. So here we go, we're going to talk about the thyroid with adrenals as well. So thyroid function is really important, and when the adrenals are pumping away, this affects the thyroid, which affects your periods. So it affects a woman's weight, it affects a woman's metabolism, how she uses food up in her body, how she digests it. It affects her energy, it affects hair loss or growth, it affects dry skin, it affects libido, so it's your sex drive, which is all tied into hormone balance and period hormones. It affects the heart rate, it affects digestion, moods, periods, so bleeding like that, constipation as well. So the adrenals play a huge part in thyroid, which plays a huge part in your periods and whether you are bleeding heavy or light as well. So adrenals also affect the gut health, which affect your periods and your period hormones as well. So if your digestion's out of balance, if you've got bloating, if you've got cramping, diarrhea, if you have allergies to food, hay fever, sinus, if you have skin allergies, if you're feeling low and you have a continuous low iron, yes, it could be from heavy bleeding all the time, but the conversion of iron and B12 in the gut has a lot to do with adrenals, thyroid and periods and hormone balance. So what can you do to start balancing your hormones? Well, I offer a free 15-minute chat and to see if I'm the right person for you and see how we can create a well-being plan to start balancing for you. I liken a woman's womb to your veggie garden. So to get a fruitful veggie garden, you plant it, you fertilise it, you water it, you weed it. Well, that is the same as a woman's uterus and womb. if you want to balance your periods, you water it, you feed it with good, healthy, nutritional food, you balance the hormones. Slow down your busy daily life. Take stock of what's creating hormone balance. Take 30 minutes out of your day and go and do something just for you. A brisk walk along the ocean, or just somewhere where you're away from a lot of traffic. Write down a food diary and just take a look at what you're actually putting into your mouth. Not so healthy foods encourage hormone imbalance. Reduce your caffeine intake, coffee, tea, Milo, energy drinks. They all mimic estrogen, which creates hormone imbalance. Try and get more sleep as well. So folk, if you think that you have hormone period imbalances and you would like to chat more about how I can help you, you can phone me on 027 284 3781, or you can look me up on my Facebook page or on Maintaining Your Health website. Okay folks, have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there. Kia ora.